Alright guys, welcome back. Today we are finally caught up with all the albums, and we are ending on Mercury Act 2. Following Mercury Act 1, we finally have Act 2 with 18 new songs, once again executively produced by Rick Rubin. The band had said that this is some of the most different sounding stuff they've ever made, and yeah, that's true for most of these songs. The lyrics here, like Act 1, are more honest and open, without Dan having to hide behind extreme metaphors. While the topic of Act 1 was mostly about experiencing the loss of a loved one, some songs looking inwards and others looking outwards of how that affects someone, Act 2 focuses more on pushing past that state of mind and moving forward in life. As for connectivity of the two acts, that's about it. Like, yeah, there are some musical styles that are similar, but it's the same band and same producer, so of course it's gonna sound similar. I've listened to both the acts together once, and it kind of just feels like listening to two albums back to back instead of one fully connected double album. The lyrical message and the theme throughout the albums is there, and it works well for the most part, but I feel like they could have done something sonically to connect the two acts. Like, I feel like there could have been something at the end of Act 1 and at the beginning of Act 2, because the transition between One Day and Bones, there is no transition. But I'll talk a bit more about this later on. But for right now, let's get into the track list.
Try as I might, I can get no peace of mind. I try every...
Act 2 opens up with Bones, which is just this really solid track that has a nice groove to it. It's just a really catchy song to open the album. It's not only the first track, but also the first single from the album. And I feel like they did a smart move with this. It sounds a bit different from most of their stuff, but it still has that same Imagine Dragons feel to it, which makes sense because, you know, it's transitioning from the older stuff and then introducing you to the new stuff, not only as the first single, but as the first song, which that makes sense, I guess, but at the same time, I still wish there was a bit more connectivity between the acts, and this also does make it feel like it's a bit out of place on the rest of the album, but it's nothing like how Natural is on Origins, or dare I say Enemy on Act 1. It's not on Act 1, as much as they wanted to think it's on Act 1, it's not. The bridge is easily the most fun part to me, and I'm waiting for it to become a TikTok meme. I'm telling you guys, I'm counting down the days, it's gonna happen. Track number 2 is Symphony, and this one, I don't have too much to say about it. It's just really simple, cute, and playful. It's not like it's the most complex thing ever, and it's not my favorite, but I really like it for what it is. I just really like the idea of all the instruments being played as Dan mentions their names. I don't know, it just, something about it gets me. And that guitar solo is really nice towards the end. Not Wayne's best work or anything, but like the rest of the song, it's just fun and playful. Sharks is another really fun song that has a really nice opening bass line from Ben, with either some keys or guitars sprinkled in the background. Dan's vocal delivery here is unique all the way through. And those drum hits, that's my laptop, I shouldn't do that. Those drum hits, just, they're great. I love them. That's all I have to say about them. The explosion after the bridge is just so energetic and fun. And I love the lyrics on this one and how they describe how you judge others, but when you think about it, you're a little hypocritical when you look at it like that. So, we started out with 3 energetic, fun songs. And now we go into I Don't Like Myself. Opening with some almost haunting notes. I Don't Like Myself, it's a bit of a slow burner, but it definitely delivers. The lyrics on the verses is definitely where I think this song shines the most. Like what I thought with Enemy, I feel like this song deals more with Dan's struggle of when the band was getting a bunch of hate a few years back. And seeing as how Dan has said that this song was written a few years back, I feel like the timeline adds up. Towards the end, there's a little bit more of hip-hop influence on this song, and I surprisingly really like it. There's also a twist in the lyrics towards the end where it glitches out and it changes the lyrics to I Like Myself, which I like that twist. I like how it ends on a better note. Blur is an explosive, fast-paced rocker that almost sounds post-grunge to me. There's some minor electronic elements in the left ear when wearing headphones listening to the song, which isn't too distracting, but it just feels so unnecessary to me. It doesn't add anything to the song, and I really don't think that effect adds anything to any songs, unless that's the entire instrumental. But I usually don't like songs that have that sound as the entire instrumental. So, I don't know. Like, it's fine, it's innocent enough, but it's just not really doing anything for the song, so I don't know why it's really there. The chorus is just so much fun to sing along with, and of course I have to mention the super fun drumming on this one. Though there is a mixture of electronic drums and analog drums, which is impressive how they work together. But at the same time, I feel like the electronic drums are kind of a cop-out, and I kind of just wish it was analog drums all the way through, but overall, it's done very well. And I don't think it takes away too much from the song. So, Anakin, I have the high ground. So many memes have been made about this song already, and I love it. I'm all for it. Higher Ground's first verse has such a strange vocal delivery from Dan, which I figured I wouldn't like, but for some reason, it clicks with me. I feel like if it was on Origins, I would have called it trend chasey, which maybe it is in some ways, but overall, I like it. The lyrics here, except for the second verse, feel extremely generic to me, almost something like what the score would write. But it really doesn't matter to me here, because the way Dan delivers it and the huge instrumental make it worth it. I actually watched a video recently that described how lyrics and plot aren't the main thing that you should be concerned about, and how the vibe of something is what's better. And I'm inclined to agree with that mentality in this case. The guitar hidden within the instrumental has such a cool sound to it, and I think it really adds to the song. Crushed is another slow, somber song, and it's an emotional roller coaster, that's for sure. To me, the lyrics feel like they describe what society has deemed the female standard, and is shaming someone for not meeting those standards, and both this person and Dan are feeling emotionally crushed because of this. The acoustic guitars and soft drums carry the emotional weight of the song all the way through. Take It Easy has a nice open sound to it, which is kind of odd, but I don't mind it, as Dan describes more of his dismissal of the Mormon religion. Once the electric guitar kicks in during the bridge, it gets really fun. The backing vocals really help to lift this song up, if that makes any sense. Moving on to Waves. I actually didn't like this one at first, but when I read the lyrics as I listened along, it hit like a wave. Describing personal stories of people who Dan has lost over the years and how fast life can end. We can't change it, so just keep moving on. Dan does its signature vocal style of starting out quiet and building up to the chorus. One part I didn't like that was really off-putting to me at first was the in the chorus. I don't hate them, I just think they're a bit too aggressive in the mix. Same with some of the chorus vocals. If they were just tuned down a bit more, I think that would do a lot of good for the song, but I've come to not mind them too much. Finally, we have a happy song with I'm Happy. While I'm Happy doesn't have the deepest lyrics or anything, it's such a fun, uplifting song, and it feels almost like a turning point for a more positive view for the rest of the album. Which I feel like Waves almost had that too, so maybe if I'm Happy was in front of Waves, it would have worked a bit better. I don't know. My favorite part is almost like the marching drums that push the song forward. I think that's really fun. So the only notes I have written on Ferris Wheel is, I don't have too much to say about this one, but it's a nice song, and I really like the guitar. That's all. Next up is Peace of Mind, which this one starts out with a really cool synth sound before the fun drums and bass kick in, and I really like how Ben's bass plays along with Dan's vocals in the verses. Try as I might, I can't entirely get into this song. It's really only the chorus that sticks out to me, though I do feel like it's one that will definitely grow on me in time. But as of right now, it's one of my least favorites on the album. Next up is Sirens, and this is the definition of the album's vibe song. Opening with acoustic guitar, before a quick, lost-sounding vocal from Dan, and muted drums kick in. Throughout the instrumental breaks, there's this really cool electric guitar riff that I want to learn so bad. Someone tab it for me, please. The lyrics on this one are pretty self-evident, but the way Dan delivers them, and the production on this one makes it feel like you're almost in someone's head. That's right, we finally did it. 4D music. You get to experience being in Dan Reynolds' head for a total 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Time to cry again because next up it's Tied. This song probably features one of Dan's most vulnerable and powerful vocal performances in their discography. It's just a little bit of piano and a little bit of bass and guitar and some violin here and there, and it's absolutely beautiful. They really nailed this one. The key change in this one is really impressive, and I think it's actually cool that they went down instead of up as they usually do. I don't like Younger. All this is just a basic song you'll find in an Old Navy commercial. Thank you, Ben, for that one. The lyrics are just so boring to me, and the instrumental does nothing. The only thing that's interesting about this song is the guitar solo, and as cool as it is, it doesn't save this song. Easily my least favorite song on the album. I've seen a lot of people really liking this one, and I'm sorry, I don't get it. Like, yeah, I know what they're trying to go for. They're trying to go for a happier, uplifting song, but On Top of the World does that so much better. Alright, back to crying time with I Wish. Okay, I think I take back what I said earlier. I think this is one of Dan's most vulnerable vocal performances. Too bad the CD listeners won't know unless they bought it from Target. Backed only by a piano and a light guitar, Dan feels at fault, not for being there for someone who needed him, and now they're gone. Next up is Continual. Imagine Dragons and Gospel. Cool idea on paper, but it's really just kind of boring. The inclusion of an organ is nice, but it doesn't really do too much. The lyrics are nice, but I don't always pay attention to them because I just kind of get bored halfway through. And lastly, we have They Don't Know You Like I Do. And this is finally another great closer. We haven't had a great one since The Fall on Smoke and Mirrors. That was 2015. That was 7 years ago. Dancing in the Dark just wasn't a good song. Just kind of killed the mood at the end. Love worked on Origins, but there could have been a better closer. And if you want to really consider Real Life a closer, it could have been better. One Day was decent, but of course, that was only half the album, so I don't know, it was meant to really be a transition into this album, and I don't know, but finally, we have another great one. Overall, I think it's a great way to capture all of Mercury and close off the album. That one part, the part, is so much fun, and it's such a nice breath of fresh air in the song. Then, towards the end, the instrumental picks up again, though I do think it could do with a little bit less of the da-da-da-da. I feel like it could just let the instrumental stand on its own and breathe for a minute. But overall, I think it's a nice way to close out the song and the album as a whole. Finally being caught up with all these albums is very relieving to me. And I think Mercury Act 2 is the perfect way to close off this series. For now. Such a welcome addition to their discography. So many great songs and only a couple misses that, even in most cases, aren't entirely terrible. Unless it's Younger. They're just kind of forgettable or generic. I think this act captures the feeling of moving on after the loss of a loved one very nicely, like the band intended. And they should be very proud of this one. Once again, touching on how this album connects to Act 1, yes, narratively it connects, but sonically it just sounds like listening to two albums back to back, because there's not really too much of connective tissue there. And really, it's 31 songs, which I don't see myself wanting to sit down and listen to all the way through all the time. Yes, 31 songs. Enemy doesn't count, no matter how much they want you to think it does. I also want to touch on some pacing issues at some points. Myself, along with some other people I've talked to, think it gets a little too slow towards the end, and it feels like they need a song to pick it up. And yeah, they tried to do that with Younger, but Younger kind of sucks. Sorry, not sorry. Like, yeah, it makes sense for the topics, and I feel like if there were a few songs cut out, it would be fine. But listening back to it a few more times, I don't know if it's just because I've grown to know the songs a bit more, it works a bit better on repeated listens. Though I still do understand some of the pacing issues, especially if you're listening to both the acts together. But overall, I'm very satisfied with this album, and I'm going to give Mercury Act 2 an 8 out of 10. With some room to maybe go to an 8.5, but we'll see. As for Mercury as a whole, I don't know if I can actually rank it all together because just of how many songs there are, and like I said, they just feel disconnected to me. But I still feel like it would sit around an 8, maybe an 8.5. Then that makes it feel like I would like it more than Evolve and Night Visions. And it's just, I don't know, when you add those two together, and it overcomplicates things with the number rating system. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video and this series all the way through. It's been really fun making these, and I have plans for more content in the future. Hopefully it comes out soon. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think of Mercury Act 2 in the comments. Goodbye.